Hello world. Hello retro coders. Time. About time we added some collisions to our games. Of course, it's been a rough couple of days for me, but I have slipped in a few hours coding here and there. Okay, let's get right started now. Weather's atrocious. It's a perfect time for coding. I do have it working on my other version. Let's get going on this version. Hopefully this won't take too long. I'm not feeling absolutely 100% perfect yet. Where are we on this version? Let's quickly compile it and have a look. Okay, it looks good. For some reason he's not being drawn correctly on this version. Oh. But that doesn't matter. I remember fixing that problem. It was something very, very minor, like, oh, there we go. It's that there is error. Can't see it. Okay, that's that little minor detail sorted. Right, so for collisions, oh, we haven't even added desks yet. That's a pain. For collisions, obviously there's many ways of doing it, and the way in the book that I've got to so far, I didn't really enjoy. Didn't see it as being useful. It seemed, well, that's the wrong way of putting it. It seemed useful, but it relied on everything being in a character's cell, and there are other versions of it in the book as well, which looked a bit complicated. Just rolling myself a cigarette. The way I want to do it is a way I've always done basic collision detection in all of my games on all systems. Hello Moz, nice to see you again, mate. A nice blue door, yeah. Did you not see that bit now? That's good. I've also got the yellow desks in there in a minute, and collision prevention, so it's going to be quite an advancement this go, hopefully, as long as it all goes to plan. Yeah, it's one of them things. I got home really late from work both nights, to last night and the one before, and I was just completely shattered. But late last night I managed to crack this, and then I sort of just fell asleep straight after. Okay, so I've got to create a desk, and in usual fashion I'll just create a new file for it. Desk.asm. Pop that inside the sprites folder. I mean, that's probably a badly named folder, sprites, because I've stored the sprite in there, but then I've also put like the entire class of what a desk is, as well as with the player. Like, you know, it's not just a sprite, it's a move function, it's all sorts of stuff, you know what I mean? But it makes sense to us. It doesn't matter really at the end of the day. I'm completely lost without my notes. It's funny. Like oh god, I've got hard drive failure as well. It's like literally 99% full. Yeah, when I haven't got my When I haven't got my example with me, I sometimes get lost. But it's funny when I get home and I just start coding, I can do it. But I'm gonna load this up on. Oh, I didn't mean to load it there. I'm gonna load it up on another window. Right, so I guess first we'll just type the desk data in. And what I did was I changed multiple classes. Like a lot of our code has changed here, so this could be another time where I type a load in, it doesn't work, and I end up just saying here's what I created earlier, because I changed so much stuff and then I changed it back, you know. Put the brightness on as well. So that is bright yellow paper, black ink. And I don't know if you watched, but like the way my graphics work is a bit of a. I think there are better ways of doing it on the Specky, but I've decided most of my background art is going to be paper coloured only, and all ink will be black. That way it sort of gives the illusion that there's no colour clash. I mean, that's just my lame way of doing it, you know. None of this is going to be new to you. I'm putting the length of the data, which is 5. That's, of course, how many bytes of data is one desk. We're going to have 6 desks. Let's not type that, let's copy that in. It's just a waste of time. So there's the 6 desks. This is just an is alive ball that I always use just so I can use my end of array signal. Maybe you might want to like be able to hide a desk sometime. You never know. So I thought, why not? Then you got the X position, Y, width, height. In fact, yeah, I've already commented above. I like to comment it. You never know, in 2 years' time I might come and look at that or something. And then of course the desk sprite is nothing new as well. And I'm going to copy that in as well. Just literally an outline with a bit of the front for a 3D effect. Just going to make myself a smoke. I think that was partly what went wrong. I ran out of smokes completely. And it masks, I think when I've got it, it masks when I'm feeling ill, you know. Then it hit me like a brick wall. Okay, that is the entirety of our desk sprite assembly file so far. Now, the way I've done movement here, I've cached the keys, I've attempted to, well, I've moved, and then I've reset the keys. And for now, that's the way I'm going to do it. I think it could be made more complex again. Like, I need to only move when everything's ready. Because if you hold the keys down, you do occasionally get a glitch, but tried fixing it, you couldn't. But the good thing about this is I've got lots of sprites on the screen now in my version and no flicker whatsoever. Not one bit of flicker. So we've got a desk added. What are we going to add next? I'm trying to figure out what I changed the most. It is the magic buffer, man. It really does work because it's almost as big as the screen, isn't it? You know. And yet now, I mean, I get why. I do get why, because in the main function, we put like the Holtz and the V-Sync in the right place, which is actually still in the wrong place, I think. No, it's not. It's in the right place. So we've got like a halt just before we draw, haven't we? And I think that's what's doing it. Obviously, we'll still hit a limit at some point. And I still haven't fixed smooth movement. That's going to be the next big one. I know about pre-shifted sprites. I'm not that excited about doing that. Like A, I did do it in the past once, and B, I don't think it gave me that much of a good effect. It still felt a bit crappy to play, if I'm going to be honest, with the pre-shifted sprites. It wasn't like a massive upgrade or anything, but I prefer like speedy gameplay myself than having smooth movement. There's got to be a balance between the two, of course, but I went wrong for hours, and yet again, the only thing that I'd failed was I'd forgot to load IX on one of the things. So for hours, I'm changing the routine, but then I've eventually figured out, oh my god, I haven't loaded IX, and then it all worked. God, this is mega to try and pick the bones out of this though, to see what I've changed. Let's just match it up for a minute in the main method. So I decided to call reset keys there because it just looks tidier to me. It does the same thing. I can't find my collision code. Must be in player. There it is. So I decided to put it into player, and I suppose it kind of makes sense. And this is where all the meat's done. This is probably where you want to concentrate if you are interested in this and how I've done it. I've put, and some of these are unnecessary, like always. Oh, thank you for the follow. Just check the name there, Geomancer. Thank you, Geomancer. Much appreciated, man. Fascinating. Love it. Love it. Bit of early morning coding because I missed out. I've been meaning to come on the last 2 evenings, but I wasn't quite feeling up to doing it. So got this one as a bonus daytime stream. Yeah, so I'm just creating some more constants really. Player width is 2 bytes. Player height. I ended up not using that if I remember right. I'll show you why in a second. But let's put it in there. That's equal to 24 scan lines. So obviously this is another gotcha. You've got to always remember the width is measured in bytes, but the height is in pixels. Player bounding box. offset. Oh, my keyboard's knackered. X. Now that does what it says on the tin, basically. It's so that you don't collide immediately as soon as you find the sprite like outline. It just gives a buffer in between. Let's copy paste. So I'm going like more than halfway down the sprite there as an offset for the downwards one. Really need a new keyboard at this stage. The thing is, I knacker my keyboards. I'm a smoker, and you know, it just gets knackered. I've spent sometimes over £100 on a keyboard, and it's lasted me less than a year. So I just use cheap ones now, and that's what I've done with that. So that's the height of the bounding box, and that's where the bounding box is going to begin from. Like if you imagine the top of the sprite down 15, and then the box is just a 5-cell box. I've ended up starting him at 168 instead, just for fun. Now this is where this coming up now is the crucial bit. Brilliant, Geo. I've recently only got back into it as well, and I decided I wanted to start making some games for it. It's really good. It's, you know, it's a challenge and a half. So I mentioned this the other day when I was streaming, but I didn't do it. But I've created something called target position, X and Y, and they can just be defined as 0 to start, because we're changing them in code immediately every frame. We're going to link it to that, like sync it, and then every time we press move, we're going to move that, check for a collision. If the collision's clear, then we move this, and that's obviously our actual sprite's position. One last variable is collision detected, and that's a bool, or I'm using it as a bool. Let's just write bool there, just to be obvious, just to state the obvious. Alright, this got me so confused, I ended up putting move down there. And I even pseudo-coded it like this to help me. And this, it really does help me. I do this a lot, especially when I'm alone doing it. And that's roughly about all we need. So every frame we're going to have this method called reset collisions check. And what that does, two things. It takes the player X into A and just loads it into the target X, and of course it does the same thing again for Y. So that's now reset them or sync them, whatever you want to call that. Let's make A 0. Oh, this was just a test. In fact, let's not put that in. It's not needed. But we do it the same after. That is just setting the ball to 0 to say there's no collision this frame yet. That's right, Gio. It's almost like if you picture our player on the screen. In fact, let's see if I can boot it up just to really. I can't draw my mouse over. But picture your player there as a square, and then your screen's here. Your position is like an XY variable, of course. We're just going to move the target. It's like a dummy player that you can't see. The bounding boxes are constant, so they can still apply. You just set it by that plus that. You'll see in a sec. And you were absolutely correct in what you just said, basically. That whole function's complete. This again, I typed because even though I've been doing it for weeks now, I like to see that. Look, that's how the CP function works. You'll need to do some reading if you don't understand that. It's just how flags are set when you do certain comparisons. That's how you do sort of what are they called, like if else, basically, in this language. And you'll see it in action now. So this is where I went wrong when I was coding on my own. I did not do my little comments that I always do, and it really stung me because I forgot to include IX. I forgot to actually make IX's value, and I started debugging a non-existent problem for quite a long time. And in fact, I got to the point where I didn't even use that because I just ended up making this just a desk collision check because it didn't work. At first I made it check for all collisions, and I can easily change this to do that, but for now it's just going to check for desks. And here's some more pseudocode because this should help us understand it. This is how this method is going to work. In fact, that's wrong because I changed it. Let me just bear with me a second because they're all going to change. The way the processor worked, it was actually better to make everything a minus. Like if you notice what I've just changed there, it's a very minor change, but I made it so that everything is every comparison is lesser than, rather than one of them being greater than. Just works better like that in game. More symmetrical. The desk. Yeah. Otherwise, you had a pixel either to one side of each desk that was out, and they're not that many pixels wide, so it did notice. Okay, so IX is going to be equal to our data pointer, and Moz will know exactly what I'm doing here, but Geo might not, so I'm going to quickly show it. That is just a way to get out of a loop. We're going to loop this over and over again until we get through our array, and that is our array there. These are all desks with positions and sizes. This here just says, oh, we've hit 255. That must be the end of the array, therefore there's no more desks. So we've checked there. Is it 255? Okay, get out of this method now. So now we can get on with the actual nitty gritty. I know we haven't moved the target pos yet, and we will do that in a minute, but just pretend we have. So there, clearly I've just set A to the target position, which is basically the player's position if you think about it like that. I've added the width, so we're now on the right edge of the player rather than the left edge. Subtract the bounding box offset, so we're in the middle of the player now, because I didn't want it to, we're quite near the middle of the player. Otherwise it looked rubbish. You collided as soon as your sort of finger touched the desk. What am I doing? That's wrong completely. That's an invalid state. You can't do that. Wait. Yes, you can. That was absolutely correct. Sorry about that. So in B is the desk's top left corner, or left side actually. It's an X value. I mean the IX has nothing to do with it being X. It's just that it's pointing at this now, which is the X position. Compare A with B. If it's less than, that means there's definitely no collision with that desk, because your right side of your player is past the left side of the desk. So I just put go next object, which will be right in a sec. It's a label. It's going to take us out of this loop. Well, it's not going to take us out of the loop. It's going to increment IX by the size of a desk. And that's pretty much it. We've just got to do that over and over again for all the different edges. And the beauty of doing it this way is we can actually have different collision detection for like the top of the desk to the bottom, and it did come in handy for me. So I didn't want his feet to collide with the top of the desk, but likewise when I go up towards the desk I didn't want his head to collide with it, so I can move the offset about depending on which edge we're checking basically. So this time I've added the offset XC rather than subtract, and obviously I haven't added player width because we're testing the left side, so actually that ends up in the same place on the X, which is right in the middle. I've put that into B. Take the X position of the desk into A now. Add the desk's width. Compare with B. Compare A with B. Exact same thing. If it's smaller than, then go on to the next desk because there's definitely no collision. We'll just do that 2 more times for the Y. And I made this up completely. I did not get this from a book. It took me quite a while and it wasn't working for ages, and I was thinking, you know, I must have just missed something and it doesn't work full stop, but then it was some stupid little thing that stopped it from working, and it was like a massive relief when I found that. So this is pretty much the same, that's why I'm rushing through it slightly quicker. I'll summarise it at the very end. I should have made that first so I didn't have to type the whole thing. I type the whole thing every time. So I've just loaded it with Y, added the Y offset from the player, moved it into B for calculation reasons for later. Then, because you can't use add on B basically, so I've loaded A with the desk Y value and height, added it with height, and then compared. And again, that'll match up here, this sort of plain English version. I think I missed one out. Just to make sure I haven't missed one out, I'm going to copy that in, because I know I have missed one out, but I didn't know which order. And also I put this comment here on my one. So there's the last one. They're all very similar. So we've got 4 different checks, and we'll exit into the next desk if any of them are true. But if they're not, we collided. So all we have to do here, I've created this little tiny file called game values. I normally call this constants. I just decided to call it game values for this time. And in there, I've added a convenience constant called true and false. The only reason I did that, I just came up with that idea as well myself. I'm sure loads of people have done it before, but it just made me easily be able to see in code I'm dealing with a bool. I could have easily just put 1 there. But then you start seeing 1s and 0s, it doesn't really mean a lot. Now I know exactly, oh yeah, that's where we're changing the bool. So I changed it. And then change it to the true. We don't need a return because, I mean, we could use a return there actually. I'm going to put a comment and return there. Because once we find a detection, we don't need to check the other desks. He can't collide with 2 desks, and even if he does, it doesn't matter. It's impossible for him to collide with 2 desks because this is checking the potential position that he's going to be next frame. And he literally, there's no way of potentially being in 2 desks at the same time. So I'm going to put the return there, even though in my working code it's not there. So I'll try and remember that if it doesn't work. Go next object, we'll just increment our pointer by the size of the desk data, which was 5 bytes. So that's going to take us to the next desk and the next desk. IX was the actual pointer, not DE, so we've added it with the amount we need. And we just jump back to the start of this method, which is called check collisions. And we're away. Okay, so that is our collision routine pretty much written. Leave that open in. I've done my code backwards, and it's quite confusing for you guys, so I think I'm going to switch that around now. What I've done is I've changed all these to try move left, just to be clear what we're doing. And they got slightly more complicated. We still want to just check that the player one, that's just checking, you know, are we off the edge of the screen? That's some different collision detection. We'll leave that exactly as it is. If I had changed that to target pos, it might have worked anyway. I can't be bothered to think it would, but I think it might have shrunk the screen by 1 cell essentially. Okay, so just like that. However, I actually found the best way to check collisions is actually in this method, so that you're not checking it unnecessarily when they're not holding the key. It's quite a calculation to do just for the sake of it every frame. So instead, we'll do it right now. And this is where I went wrong for the whole night. It took me hours to figure this one line out. Oh, desk data. I called it desk data before. Let's change that. Yeah. That was an absolute git of a line. I just didn't realise I hadn't got it, and I was changing all my collision code instead. So all we do is we move the target, we call check collisions, and then we want a safe move function. Which just says, the only reason I've put safe there is just so that I know we've checked collisions and it's going to move only if there's no collision. So I call it safe move, which is a habit I've got from a long time ago, many years. I use this same method in C#. I just remembered something I forgot, and then I talked and forgot it again. Oh well, I'm sure we'll find it. Now, I'm just going to copy and paste them other move methods. They're exactly the same, but just different directions. So I'll get rid of them. Paste that in. All good. That looks good. Oh, that was what I was going to say when I said I've forgotten. Check collisions. Safe move to target pos. Now, don't forget we created this reset check. That has to be called at the start. But we'll do that literally in here. In fact, why not there? A lot of people have like a main early, main late. So that would go in main early. Do you know what I mean? But we're not quite at that stage yet. We don't need to worry. It's nice to have it all in one main method, really. It's nice and clear. I think the only other thing we need is our safe move now. Like I say, I would have just called it safe move if I was just making it on my own, because that's just a habit I've got into over years. That should be very self-explanatory, but why not explain it anyway? Load A collision detected, that's the ball. It's either 0 or 1. 1 is true. If they are equal, return. So of course none of this will happen after this. And it's very simple. Just load target pods into A and load A into player X. Of course the same for Y. And that is jobs are good. In true retrocoder fashion, I'm almost certain there's something forgotten there, but it looks identical now to the working one. I'm pretty sure now all we need to do is Let's make sure our main sort of loop is working correctly. They should be called try move up. So of course, luckily, I mean, I say luckily, I believe I've named these all so well that a beginner should even be able to just look at this and see pretty much what's going on. But you know, you might miss out that you have to do reset keys, check keys. I'm going to probably combine those so you don't have to call both. But then it just checks as the key pressed and it tries to move up. Of course, our desks are a different size, so I had to write another sprite drawing function, which was very similar to the other one. But we'll finish the main method off, the main file off first. So it's another loop. So I'm doing my same old trick. Returning when we hit 255. This time the pointer to the sprite is at BC. That was just the way that we wrote the sprite drawing code, so it wants it in there. It wants the X value into D, the Y value into E, and then we'll call draw sprite, but the size I haven't made yet, but that is the size there we are going to make. I'll explain this in a minute. So pushing is pushing to the stack and saving the value in DE. That allows us to load this new value into DE. Just in order, the only reason we do that is just to increment the pointer to the next desk. We then get our value back into DE, which is our position. I mean, to be honest, that's not really needed because we load it here. So it's a fresh load instruction anyway. So I think that was just part of my debugging that I was messing around. I think I might leave it there for now because it does work. I'll just add to do, remove. It's not needed. It works in much the same way as all the other loops. Just goes through, calls that one function. That's all we're trying to do. Is call that one function on every desk. Sprite drawing. I'm going to copy paste this one because it's a huge, great amount of lines. That's the same thing we've seen hundreds of times in my videos. Oh, did I already put it in? No. So that sprite drawing.asm is just a bunch of routines that draws different size sprites. And yeah, you know, watch my other videos if you don't get that, because it's pretty simple once you know what you're looking at. That is. Don't want to explain that in every video I make. We're getting close to being good to go. In fact, we probably are good to go. We just haven't painted the colour to the desk. I did have one called colours I'm trying to find. Here it is. So this is a horrible mess. This is this whole file. It could be a lot of this could be combined and done differently. It's very specific to each size, but it works for us and it is quick. And I haven't got any flicker in my game, so I'm going to stick with this approach. And I am going to just do the copy paste again because it's the same thing again, just a different size. So instead of incrementing down a line here, I move forward 2 more. Bear with me. Here it is. It's actually in just a few lines really. So that paint sprite 3216 obviously says what it is, but it's much more simple than the others. I've managed to simplify it. Anyway, again, watch my other videos. There's some that are all about just doing that. How do I get back to the main file now? They don't expect you to. I have to close some, you know. So I think that's all that's left is paint desks. Same trick again to get out when we've painted the wall. So yeah, similar stuff. This time there was no need to load DE with the position. It wanted it in BC. See, they are a bit of a mess. We could definitely make this code a lot better, but it works. I'll remove that later as well. That's not going to be needed. I think all we've got to do is set the main up now to paint them. It's already painting sprite there. Paint door. Yeah, straight after there. Yeah, it always needs IX as the desk because it checks. That's just how it accesses all of the desk data. This time I've done a stupid trick. I'll show you it in a minute in what I pasted in. But I'm using the lower byte of the IY register just to store the colour. In fact, we've already done it. That's why I didn't mention it. We've already done that with the door. It's just another register at the end of the day. This time it's a 32 by 16 sprite we're painting. Hang on, that's wrong anyway. What am I doing? Paint desks. Loop. Yeah. Let's see if we can see it in action now then. Fingers crossed. Oh no. Oh, CP255. Oh, still another error. Line 54, big boy, test data is undefined. Is it? No, it's not. Oh, probably haven't even included desk yet. Yeah. It's compiled. Well, we've got some desks, but nice one, Geo. Yeah, good spot. I wasn't expecting them to just be white blobs like that. The draw sprite function's not working. And also, collision's not working correctly either. I can't move up at all. I think that might be our movement code because I couldn't move down either. I should be able to move down. Oh no, I couldn't move down because I allowed 4 pixels at the bottom of the screen for him to move down below the screen, but you move by 8. Where's the speed? 8. Yeah, let's try 4 there. That was just a quick way of seeing if the movements are working properly, I think. Oh, it still don't let me move. There's always trouble like this, man, for me. I never had this problem though when I was working alone. It's clear that it's sprite. No, I don't know. Maybe it is the color actually. Well, easy way to check that, isn't it? Is just highlight out, comment out, paint desks for a second. Try and just draw it. Did I even draw it? Wait there. There's no draw desks. The method's there. Yeah, that's going to be the reason I think. But I still don't explain why it's not going up and down. So we'll put paint desk back. And then here we'll draw it. Right, well they're getting drawn nicely now, but they're not painted the right colour for some reason. That's not worrying me one bit. What is worrying me is why I can't move up. Yeah, left and right works. Perhaps I done something with the move code. Try move up. Try move up. Player Y. Target Y. Y. Just try without the collision on it up for a second. Still doesn't let me. I never had this. Either of them two problems I didn't have when I was working. That's really intriguing. I'd love to figure this out rather than just to cop out and my working code in. I mean, I always get told that I should debug properly by checking the memory step by step and putting debug logs in and everything, messages. But it's really hard to do that, you know. It's not easy. NC, where's that? I know what you mean. That might be. I think NC is correct because NC just means more than or equal. So with max, you actually do want that because it returns if it goes over the max, and then when you just make your max constant a little bit lower than it should be. But yeah, good shout, good try. It's got to be something like that, isn't it? It's got to be with the movement. Hang on, let's step through it then. How are we moving? Right, we call reset keys. That's fine. Just makes all the keys 0. I guess that the first thing I should check is that getting set. But call check keys. Can't remember. So like we say, we know left and right's working. So it's only W that we're worried about right now. That should be fine. I'm not worried about that. Just tidy this up a bit. I'm comparing it at the same time to my working one as well, and it's very similar actually. It's actually line for line correct right now. So I don't think it's anything in this main loop, which means it must be something on a collision, which would make sense because that's what we've just written. So. Ah, I think I know what it is. Oh no, I did call that, didn't I? Reset collisions. Yeah. Darn. Thought I found it then. That looks perfect. We actually did copy and paste this in. Let's do that again just to make sure. Oh, hang on. Return is different because I decided that was okay. But let's just try it without. No, no good. I'm going to leave the return in there. I think it's better to be there. Maybe sit in the bottom of the desk. I thought that, but I mean, what I could do quickly is just only have one desk. See if that changes it. I don't think that's going to help us, but I'll try it. No, it moves left and right, but not up. And down potentially might work. I mean, I could try testing down just by moving the player. Do you know that could cause? I actually did change the player's starting position a little bit. Let's just try him there. No, I can't move up or down. Weird, isn't it? I will figure this out. I'm determined to figure this out rather than just copy and paste it in, I should say. But I'm working line through line to match it up. I might as well even, because that I put up there, just help me match it up. Aha, that's why. See, sometimes it is just the logic. You got to just look the logical. I should have looked there first. Well, one of the first ones, because A, I wrote that recently, and B, that's the movement code. But as you can see, it's the deliberate mistake, as the teacher would say at school. We were just setting it to the same thing over and over again. Right. And now I can't move left. What? Oh, okay, the collision's working, but not quite like I would want. That's perfect. That looks great. But something's up. I can go around that side. That's intriguing. I thought it's like the width is like the whole screen. Haha. Geomancer smacks head. Is that meant to be an emote? But my channel's so small it doesn't even let you have it. That's mostly done now. For some reason, I think it must be the width, like the width of the. I mean, I'll try it without that return. That's the only difference I could actually see from my working code. No, same thing. Just me. At my guess, I'm saying this is. I'm going to call it that this is to do with the width because I can move around the left side of the desk. So it obviously doesn't. The collision's not like spanning the entire screen at that height. So it must be the width of the desk that's wrong. What's happening is I'll show you. I mean, I don't love how it's moving, but that's a completely separate issue. I can move up, down, left, right. Look, I can go round here, but it sticks here, exactly where it should do. Like that's fine, but I mean, I can fix that with the offset, so his feet don't just stop there. Like, but I mean, it has to work like that, really, the game, because you don't get that much screen space to move about in. Oh, did I? Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah, but look, it stops me here. But here I can go round. But here, all the way across the screen, it's like there's a big long desk there. But yeah, that's what problem it is. I might have uncommented it without, because that's all fine. That's just stupid comments. Ah, no problem. And then that's not really needed either. But you'd be surprised how much it helps doing that little pseudo coding in your own projects. It is weird. It's going to be something stupid. I'm going to guess it's something to do with the width of the. Well, that's where we had the width. Should only be 4. Oh, see, it's so tempting. I might at least. I'm just going to quickly copy it, paste it in, see if it works, and then hit. Oh, still doesn't work. So it must be something in here then, yeah? Giving in. I couldn't see any difference. The only difference I had is I've got like this, the border will change colour when we collide now. Look, now I can just walk straight past. So, and it's perfect. Oh, and the border doesn't change colour. Okay. But yeah, now it's perfect. I'm not sure why the colour's wrong. Oh, that's why. I've got a video about that as well. It's the attribute byte on the spectrum. You'll want to learn about it, but there's a better website called like Overloaded with Bytes or something that's where I learned it. We've got a yellow desk now, that's good. Everything's working, finally. But yet again, I couldn't just code it live. I had to end up relying on copy and paste. It's almost identical, but obviously one line's different somewhere. And it's in here, I think, in this file. Let's put the other desks back in. Hey, there we go. We've started to make some progress. I mean, you know, even when it's finished, it's not going to be a great game. Don't get me wrong. But I've finally implemented collision prevention, which is what I've been talking about doing. And it works pretty well. I mean, if you play the real game, Mikey, you'll notice it's similar to this, where you can get stuck on the corners a little tiny bit if you try and walk diagonal. In fact, I don't think they even let you walk diagonal in that game, but we can in our version. So we could either limit them doing that, or just let them like get stuck occasionally. But I was thinking when I draw the chairs with the people on it, that's when I'm going to do the table legs, because they're on the same line, so it'll just be easier and quicker on the processor. But obviously that door's going to have a collider as well, and you'll collect enough of the hearts, and then you'll go to the door and you'll press F or whatever, and then that will be a condition to open the door, and then that whole screen will be the end of the level. Yeah, I mean, I don't. The reason for that, Geo, is I don't get a lot of time. I have very little free time. What, to do it like that? Yeah, I mean, I would love to do recorded videos, but they take me too long, I'm afraid. That's the real reason for it. If I go live, I can just sort of ad lib it a little bit, with knowing that I've got the backup of having the working code back there, you know. And then at least it gets some content out, doesn't it? You know, I also keep a GitHub. Eventually, I'm going to tidy the GitHub up so that there's like actual projects on there, and I will type up some like sort of, what's the word? I don't want to use the word tutorial, you know. Yeah, thanks, man. I've had quite a lot of good feedback from the likes of you guys who sit and they don't mind seeing a bit of debugging that fails and stuff, you know. Nice, nice. I'm glad you enjoy it, man. Because sometimes you plug along and you think, oh, I'm wasting my time here, but then always just at least one person comes in and says thanks, and that's all I need. So I'm happy with that. I mean, the next thing I'll be adding to this game, other than better movement, but I think I'll leave that for now because movement isn't the most important thing. We can play the game with this movement. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is either XORed sprites to stop. See where that white? I want to stop that. I want to still draw the door behind him. And also I've got to sort the movement out. He's going above the wall now, but that's just because I put 4 instead of 8. And the max is, the min's the wrong number. But cheers, Moz. Thanks, man. I'm pretty sure the next session will be XORed sprites, but if I can't figure that out, then it's going to be animation frames instead. So we'll actually move and look left and have a little walk animation. I already know how to do that, so I know that I can do that. So that'll probably be the next one, but hopefully I'll be able to include in that the XOR, because it annoys me seeing that border around the edge of the sprite. Yeah, transparency, and you can use what's called like an XOR trick. I have done it once before I started filming, just as an example to myself. It wasn't in a game, but basically you have the exact same sprite. Where is he? Can never find him. There he is. You have this exact same sprite, but all the ones are zeros and all the zeros are ones. And then somehow I can't remember how they do it now, but you figure out which one to display at the time. So that's the bit I don't know the answer to, but I know that that's how you do it. And you can use XOR to do that, so you wouldn't even have to make that. But then obviously it uses your software, your hardware to do that. So it's obviously better just to copy and paste that, I guess, and flip it. But yeah, it's looking good so far, isn't it? I've actually had quite a lot of attention. People are liking the retro rules okay thing. I think I've had quite a few little likes and retweets. So yeah, hopefully get this game looking real good eventually, in the coming few weeks. I might be back on later as well. It's really early still, isn't it, for me? I've got a good few hours before work. So if I feel right, I might be able to come back and show another little bit of animation going, just a little teaser. Okay, Moz, yeah, I'll look at both alternatives there, I think. Because the masking one sounds interesting. My way might be like too processor intensive, I don't know. But I'll have to look it up. It's quite an advanced topic, really, that, isn't it? Because you can make a functional game without doing that, really. This game wouldn't be that bad. Because most of the time, if you notice, you don't actually get that stuff happening. Because I've set it up as black ink. So it's only the actual black, the ink stuff that gets sort of distorted. Do you know what I mean? The rest of it's okay. So I could live with that if but obviously I don't want to. Yep, brilliant. I mean, I may come back and do a bit of actual live with no safety net, but that doesn't always end well. But we'll see. We'll see. I've got 2 copies of this game, and it's on GitHub, so I'm not scared about ruining it. But yeah, I'll leave that one with you. I'll be back later on. I am working. I'm feeling a bit tired as well, so not so many hours streaming at the moment, but I'll be back to my normal self soon. Yeah, thank you very much. If you haven't already done so, give me a follow on YouTube as well. That would be a massive help. And there's lots of coding videos, loads of rubbishy gaming videos as well, but quite a lot of coding videos going on there. So yeah, I look forward to next time I see you guys. See you soon. Bye bye.